Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Maizurah Muhammad Noor.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Najwa binti Ismail. I'm from Perlis. I'm working by my own small business in Perlis.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Nur Fazwan bin Muhammad Almi. This year I'm turning 28 years old. I'm from Johor. Currently I'm staying at Bandar Estate Nilai. Currently I'm working at private sector.
Ese amor llega así de esta manera, no tiene la culpa.
In this chapter, we are going to discuss about role of culture. There are 4 subtopics which are culture, elements of culture, cultural difference and ethics, and also theories of culture.
Culture presented by Najwa. Religions in Malaysia. In Charter Pie, Muslims have 60.4%, Buddhists 19.2%, Christian 9.1%, Hindu 6.3%, Chinese religions 2.6%, other religions 1.5%, no religion 0.8%. Definition of cultures. Cultures is the collection of values, beliefs, behaviors, customs, and attitudes that distinguish one society from another. A society's culture determines the rule that governs how firms operate in the societies. Characteristics of cultures have 4. 1. Learned behavior. Elements of cultures are transmitted have 2. 1. Intergenerationally in different generation. Second, intragenerationally within the same generation. Culture is not something we are born with. Second, interrelated element. The elements of culture are interrelated. Culture may affect business opportunities and business procedures. Third, adaptive. Culture is adaptive because it is a learned behavior. Fourth, shared. Culture is shared by members of the societies and defines the membership of the societies.
The basic elements of culture are social structure, language, communication, religion, and values and attitudes. The interaction of these elements affects the local environment in which international business operate. They also affect the ability of countries to respond to changing circumstances as bringing the world into focus suggests. Social structure determines the roles of individuals within a society, the stratification and individuals' mobility within the society. In our everyday life, individuals exist in families, work groups, social or recreational groups, and organizations. Family, on the other hand, are considered to be people who are related by blood, marriage, or adoption and reside together. In most Western countries, a family consists only of parents and children, while in Asian countries, family include in-laws and grandparents. A group can be defined as 2 or more people working together for a common purpose. cultures also differ in the importance of the individual relative to the group. US cultures promote individualism, which their school teach them to raise self-esteem and develop individual talent. In Japan, children are taught that their role is to serve the group. Social stratification has to do with placing members of society in certain classes. There are those in the lower, middle, and upper classes. Many times, this is born out of one's family background, income, or occupation. The British class structure and Indian class may affect many facets of one's dealing with others. Social mobility, their economic status in a way that affects social class, they experience social mobility. Those from the lower class only hope to move from that class to the upper one through a process called social mobility, which is in most cases done through education and job opportunities. When opportunities for mobility are suffocated, there is likely to be conflict between the classes and in the job situation between management and employees. Some societies have room for social mobility while others do not. A country like Britain has less social mobility. As a result, there is always simmering tension between management and workers, which the firm has had to deal with from time to time. When industrial disputes become frequent, the firm finds doing business in the country quite expensive. Such a problem is not common in America, where social mobility is easy. Social mobility often affects individuals' attitude and behavior, such as in labor relations, human capital formation, risk-taking, and entrepreneurship. The language is one of most important key to understand a culture. There are over 3,000 languages and as many as 10,000 dialects worldwide. For the reason English language is chosen as the business language and as an official language to communicate between societies. Language provides important clues about the cultural values of the society. For example, many languages, including French, German, and Spanish, have informal and formal versions of the words. Some languages, such as Japan and Korea, also have formal and informal versions of speaking to each other. Culture directly affects business communication, both verbal and non-verbal. Some cultures, including Australia, the United Kingdom, and Germany, place high significance to the words actually spoken. Other cultures, including Japan and Arab cultures, still place significance on the spoken word, but also place great significance on the context of the conversation. Silence carries significance in all cultures, and this might be interpreted in different ways during cross-cultural business meetings. Communication breakdown. Ignoring culture in business communication can lead to problems and communication disruptions. Internal business communication can be disrupted or misinterpreted if workers don't share the same understanding of goals, expectations, and processes. Understanding a culture can help businesses anticipate potential challenges or barriers in the adoption of new policies or processes before efforts break down. For example, some business culture may thrive in an exchange and dialogue-based communication system, while other cultures, for example Japanese and Arab cultures, rely more heavily on subtext. If new information or ideas are suddenly imposed on employees accustomed to a more collaborative work culture, there may be a lack of buy-in and the project will fail. Training. Some religion can have an impact on international business through influencing a culture's values and attitudes towards entrepreneurship, consumption, and social organization. The impact will vary depending on the strength of the dominant religious tenets. International managers must be aware of the differences among religions. For instance, Islam, followed by 1/4 of the world population, has a huge influence in Muslims' life. What makes it influential is that it governs all facets of life for a Muslim, including economic, cultural, and social aspect, through the Sharia, which is law of Islam. At an individual level, a Muslim is circumscribed by religious principle, by a code of conduct for interpersonal relation in social and economic activities. Religion is paramount in all areas of life. The Muslim lives in social structure that is shaped by Islamic values and norms of moral conduct. Another example with a McDonald's in the Gulf Arabic countries, the firm will propose rather halal product, but in UK that will be rather products like the winter fish at base of bacon, emmental, chorizo, tomato and stick. Value and attitude. Culture also affects and reflects the values of attitudes of members of society. The values and attitudes are convictions that people have regarding what is good and bad, right or wrong, important and unimportant. Values influence culture. For example, Russians believe that McDonald's cuisine is superior to their own. That is a value judgment. Similarly, France champion manufacturer know that US customer believe France champion products are high quality value. The manners and customs. The customs are common, dictate how things are to be done. For example, in Arab countries, it is considered bad manners to attempt a shake hands with a person of higher authority unless this individual makes the first gesture. In US, it's the contrary. The example, Michelle Obama, wife of US President Barack Obama, puts her arm around Britain Queen Elizabeth II at the reception at Buckingham Palace in London, whereas a protocol dictates that the touching of the Queen in England is a big no.
A greenfield investment is a type of foreign direct investment in which a parent company creates a subsidiary in a different country, building its operation from the ground up. In addition to the construction of new production facilities, these projects can also include the building of new distribution hub, offices, and living quarters. Example, the Japanese prefer to enter the market in Britain by greenfield investment and not other type of investment because they are less comfortable working with the British company or become British partner. Do you like anime? I do. Is this mean I must live in Japan? No, right? While anime is rooted in Japanese culture, it's accessible to people around the world. A number of Americans love Japanese anime, just as many as people in England love American Western films, and other people across Europe enjoy British-style tea. This situation so-called as cultural convergence. Cultural convergence is a theory that two cultures will be more and more like each other as their interactions increase. Basically, the more that cultures interact, the more that their values, ideologies, behaviors, art, and costumes will start to reflect each other. This trend is especially pronounced between cultures that are heavily engaged with each other through communication and transportation technologies, as well as organizational associations. Edward Hall defines intercultural communication as a form of communication that shares information across different cultures and social groups. One framework for approaching intercultural communications is with high contact and low contact cultures, which refer to the value cultures place on indirect and direct communications. A high contact culture relies on implicit communication and nonverbal cues. In high contact communication, a message cannot be understood without a great deal of background information. Asian, African, Arab, Central European, and Latin American cultures are generally considered to be high contact culture. In the other side, a low contact culture relies on explicit communication. In low contact communication, more of the information in a message is spelled out and defined. Culture with Western Europeans' roots, such as United States and Australians, are generally considered to be low contact cultures. The cultural cluster approach is a technique for classifying and making sense of national cultures since there are similarities exist among many cultures. A cultural cluster comprises countries that share many similarities. Many cultures are based on language similarities such as Western countries. Many international businesses use the culture cluster approach in formulating their internalization strategies. For example, US firms' main exporting market are Canada and United Kingdom. Meanwhile, Hong Kong and Taiwanese firms exploit China markets. For South Korea firm, they focus exporting products for more to Japan and vice versa. Hofstede's cultural dimension theory is a framework for cross-cultural communication developed by Great Hofstede. It shows the effect of a society's culture on the value of its members and how this value relate to behavior using a structure derived from factor analysis. The result of the study had identified 5 most important dimensions on how people and cultures are different across countries. And the result are social orientation, power orientation, uncertainty orientation, goal orientation, and time orientation. The cultural variation that affect international business obviously go far beyond the ability to greet your international colleague or choose the correct gift. Issues related to the culture's time orientation, whether it is an individualist or collectivist society, space orientation, and power distance, not mention conflict assumptions and non-verbal communication, all affect understanding your colleague across the table as well as your chance of being understood. Preparation by a trained expert related to this issue not only assures that unnecessary blunders will be avoided, it brings to each of us a personal knowledge that deepens our understanding of others. As a result of that, promoting acceptance, understanding, and on the other level of international relation, peace and prosperity. That's all from us. Thank you for your time.